Hi guys, Dan Lots of 922 Films here. I have one simple question. Are you ready for a feature film? This is a question I asked myself back in 2017, right before I started my feature film. And I think it's a question you guys should ask before jumping into a major project that's going to definitely change your whole life for a whole year. So, I had four main points that I asked myself before making my feature film, The Long Con. And these 4 points were good benchmarks to know whether or not I was on the right track and ready to start making a feature film and actually producing it. So, let's get into these 4 points. The first point is, have you written enough? This is so important. Whether or not you're going to be writing or hiring someone to write a screenplay, you need to have a really great script. And whoever is working on it needs to have a bunch of projects under their belt in order to be as qualified as possible to start on your feature film. So, the way I went about it was I wrote my own feature film, The Long Con. But I put myself through a very rigorous process. I've always heard of the adage that your seventh script is your best one, that you have to get through a bunch of scripts in order for your best script to materialize. So I actually wrote 7 screenplays in 1 year. And while it was more just a cute sort of thing in order to try to prove that if you make 7 scripts, you'll get better, it actually did actually help me get better as a writer. My 7th script was not gold, but what it did allow me was to go back to my very first script that I wrote that year, which was originally titled Carnal Pleasures, and I decided to rewrite it into a new film called The Long Con. And it allowed me to become a better writer because I went through so much failure and rejection on each script. I would write a script a month, every month, for 7 months, and it allowed me to get into the mindset of every idea is disposable. You can take an idea and write it and get it out of your head, and it can either be good, it can be terrible, but at least you learn something. I learned about structure, I learned about my prose and my voice, and conveying ideas to other writers, because I ultimately decided to work with a co-writer when I wrote my feature film The Long Con, and originally I had written the script as a solo person. So I think actually I found out that part of my process is finding someone that I needed to write with. And I would not have known that had I not written enough. So make sure that when you're working on your feature film, you've written a bunch or you've hired someone that has put in the legwork and has a bunch of scripts that can prove that they're a really good screenwriter. I think this is so crucial, and I think so many people jump in a little too fast in terms of script writing, and they've only written one script and then they want to go out and make the big film. I think it's better to write a bunch of little feature films, and if none of them materialize into anything, no big deal. Just move on. My second point is, do you want to graduate from short films? Short films is a very specific type of format, and there's a lot of people who really like doing it. If you look at someone like College Humor, they make so much good short form content. I would never imagine them going out and making a feature film. There are a lot of people that are really good at making short form content. Personally, me and my cinematographer can't stand making short form content unless it's a very small sketch or something we're doing offhand. We don't like writing stories for them. It's hard to put a lot of investment into something that's going to ultimately invest only maybe a day or two of our time. But if you really like making short films, maybe you're not ready for a feature film. Maybe if you're not craving to make a longer form idea, maybe you don't really think that you need to make a better idea that's longer. I don't think that's anything wrong with that. I think that maybe you just want to make short ideas because maybe that's what your content seems to be fitting into that format. So just be honest with yourself. Do you feel like you're more drawn to the longer format or the shorter format? And if you do feel drawn to the longer format, maybe find a bridge. Make a longer short film that's 20 minutes long, and that allows you to get to the 90-minute feature film in the following year. We did that with our short film, The Pull the Trigger, and that one was nearly 20 minutes long, and it gave us an idea of how we could possibly make a feature film, and it gave us the ability to mature enough to make a feature film. Point number 3 is funding. Do you have funding for a feature film? This is probably the hardest one for an indie filmmaker to combat because not all of us have a ton of money. and it's hard to find money. Not everyone wants to invest in a low budget, unproven filmmaker. This is something that you have to make a few decisions on. Either A, are you going to self-finance and raise the funds? Are you going to find an investor or Kickstarter? Or are you going to make it so damn cheap that you don't really need that much money? And each situation has its own drawbacks and benefits. We went with the save your own money route, and I think this is the route that I would recommend every indie filmmaker go, because you're not wasting other people's money when you might be making something that might not get a lot of eyes on it and might not get a return on investment. You're playing with your own cash, and that allows you to do things the way you want to do them and have no one tell you what you want to do. So I think that's the best way, but you can go the other routes as well. I think doing the super cheap route, while it's very, very affordable, I think what ends up happening is usually produce something that's lesser than what you're hoping for. So I think the best route would probably be to just save up. Me and my cinematographer both decided that we were going to invest in the project, and we put a certain number that we were going to invest and a top line of what we wanted to invest. We actually blew over our top line a little bit, but we realized that we knew that we had enough money, each of us, that we could spend a decent amount, each of us, and allow ourselves to make something that was pretty good and with the money that we had. So just realize, what do you have? Like, what money do you have saved that might be able to make your project the best it can possibly be? And I think that's the only thing you can do, is figure out what kind of financing you need. Do you need to raise money? Do you need to find investors? Or do you need to make it so damn cheap? Those are the 3 points that I would ask. And if you don't have any of those 3, if you don't have investment, if you don't have savings, or you don't have a way to make it extremely cheap, maybe you're not ready for a feature film yet. Maybe you need to start working on a bunch of more shorts, save up some money when you're working at that pizza shop or Walmart or wherever you're working at. Save that money up over the course of a year or two, and you might have enough money that you can actually go out and make a feature film in a year or two. And that would be very, very good, and it would be a lot better than trying to make a feature film with very little money and you don't have the means to make what you really want to make. My final point is work on another feature film or a long form project. This one is kind of hard because you're probably going to invest a lot of time if you can't get hired on a bigger production. You're going to have to invest time to find a project that's willing to take you on for either free or for low pay, because a lot of you guys might be just getting into the business and you don't have a lot of experience, and it's going to be hard to get onto a job. I worked on a feature film called The Lurker, and I offered up my services for free to work on the film for about 10 to 15 days as a BTS videographer. And a lot of people probably will look down on me for doing this and say that I shouldn't have done this for free, but I think that is the totally wrong takeaway. And my justification for this is that's the only way the film got made. The film that I made only got made because I was willing to do things for free on another film, and I learned a lot from that film. I learned what a call sheet was. I didn't even know what a call sheet was until about a year or two ago. I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know how people got to set. And because I was a BTS videographer, I got a call sheet and I was told what locations, and I was given all the details ahead of time, and it allowed me to make that for my feature film. It also allowed me to meet connections, people that you wouldn't usually meet, and you might be able to bring them onto your set. I brought a few of those people onto my feature film, and it actually made my feature film a lot better, and I would have never been able to make a feature film as good as the one I made without jumping onto a bigger set. So you might be losing some time and losing some money because you're not getting paid, but the benefit is you might be actually getting a better feature film because you're willing to invest those hours. So I would just suggest investing those hours into another person's project, because it will teach you about scale and how large this project could be that you're going to be doing. And so maybe you'll find a way to make your project work by learning new things on this set. And I think that is so crucial. Thanks guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please just sound it off in the comments below and tell me about your filmmaking journey. Have you reached a feature film yet? And if so, What were the reasons and the questions you asked yourselves before you started that big project? And if you haven't, tell me what are your steps that you're going to be doing before you take the major step into your feature film. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. And I just want to say that this is a homegrown community of indie filmmakers, and we really want to build something that's super genuine and cool. So just be really nice to everyone and talk to them. And if they have any questions, just be answering them below in the comments section, just so that we can start a really awesome discussion on indie filmmaking. Peace, and have a great day.